Hello and welcome to the Nonprofit Exchange. I'm C. Richard Gilchrist, your host, and today we are just honored to have the American Heart Association with us today, a not-for-profit corporation that's been helping out our community for years. And our guests are Miss Michelle Hill and Miss Terry Arnold. Miss Hill, start us off. Talk about what the American Heart Association is and stroke. Right? Don't leave out
stroke. Exactly. Well, the American Heart Association is the nation's oldest, largest voluntary organization, and we're devoted to fighting cardiovascular disease and stroke. Right? So the mission of the AHA is to build healthier lives free of cardiovascular disease and stroke, and we want to improve the lives of all Americans. Right? So what does that mean? Yes. What does that look like in the community? So as a community impact director, my job is to really evaluate communities and look at different zip codes where we see high incidences of cardiovascular related deaths, and look at what can we implement, what can we improve in these neighborhoods, what can we piggyback, what work is already being done around health that we can maybe help to improve or add on to, or what new programs or partnerships need to be implemented in particular zip codes. So that may look like cooking classes, right, in public housing, maybe. That could look like helping with transportation barriers to get to the hospital, so access. It just depends. And so what we really do is evaluate communities to see where the American Heart Association can best help. And there's a lot of great work that's already being done that we just want to make sure that we are complementing and we have a seat at the table.
Well, that's excellent. And Terry, your role in this important endeavor here.
Yes. So I'm the Marketing and Communications Director for the American Heart Association. I have worked for the AHA for about 8 years, and I am also a heart attack survivor myself. So I had a heart attack about 4 years ago, and it came out of the blue for me. I totally did not expect to have a heart attack, and because I knew the signs and symptoms of a heart attack, specifically in women, which are different from men, I called 911, got to the hospital, and received quick care. And so a big part of my job is to get out messaging around the signs and symptoms of heart attack and stroke. And so for me, knowing those signs and symptoms really saved my own life. And so I'm super passionate about letting people know about those signs and symptoms. Heart disease is the #1 killer of all people. It actually kills more women than men. It kills more African Americans than white people.
Wow.
And stroke is the #5 killer of all people. And so even though risk factors are primarily the same, not everyone lives in the same community. And so we need to look at that, and not all people have the same access to care and the same resources that other people have. And so when we're talking about preventing cardiovascular disease, we talk about obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, family history, stress, and lack of physical exercise. But not everyone has the resources and the access to be able to deal with those specific risk factors. And so the AHA is coming in to try to figure those things out and work with the community so everyone is on an equal playing field when it comes to that.
So Michelle, you've been involved with this and you're very passionate about being involved. How does this affect you as in a personal way?
In a personal way, oh my gosh, so many different ways. But in particular, I tell this story a lot. What brought me to the AHA is that my mom had a stroke in a grocery store in North Carolina. And it was because of the young lady who was checking her out, knowing FAST, and so knowing our acronym around stroke, that caused her to say, "Ma'am, I think you're having a stroke," as she was checking out. My mom just knew she didn't feel well, but the young lady noticed the facial drooping, noticed some paralysis, and that she was talking slowly. And so she went ahead and called 911, and she told my mom, "I think you're having a stroke." So because I recognized, and when I went back and thanked her, she told me we had just had training on what to look for. And that training was done and on part of, or the materials came from the American Heart Association. So that caused me to go and look into the Heart Association and say, what other things are they doing? And so just became very passionate about awareness and prevention. And so that's kind of what brought me to Heart and why it's so personal to me. And another reason, you know, one thing that I am really a big proponent of is that I feel like everyone deserves a fair shot and a fair opportunity at good health.
That's important.
Important. And so if we have these social determinants or barriers between different neighborhoods that we can help prevent so that all people can have a fair shot at good health, that's what we want to do. So I'm really passionate about that.
You know, it's really important that I ask this next question. When you look at the zip codes and see that the African American zip codes are in that situation where more things are happening in that area, what kind of steps do you take to kind of begin to attack or alleviate those kind of situations?
Right. So, you know, one of the first things that we do is we look at what work is already being done there.
Okay.
We look at trying to take the top 3 problems. What are we seeing as the main problems to good health? You know, are they things that are preventable? Are we looking at behavioral things, or are we looking at something that's more related to social determinants? Is it poverty? Is it education? Is it environment? And so we really first do an assessment of the community and find out what really are the issues, what's already being done, and then we look at what things can we implement, what groups can we align ourselves with. So for instance, if it's something around transportation being a barrier to get to a hospital, and one of the things that we've seen is that for some people within certain parts of Norfolk, to get to the hospital, to get to Norfolk General, could take them over an hour and a half to 2 hours on the bus because of all the other stops you have to make.
Gotcha.
So if I'm not feeling well, I might just go ahead and sit at home versus going to the doctor because I don't have a way to get there. Or I can't take off of work because I can't lose my day's, you know, salary or my hourly wage or whatever that may be. And so what we try to do then is first figure out what the problem is, align ourselves with people that are already working toward this, and advocate for these policy and system changes, right? So that's really our biggest thing. We want to see sustainable change. So we don't always want to come in with just a one-off program. We don't want to come in and give you some literature about stroke and say, have a nice day. What we want to do is create cultures of health. And so we want to look at how can we change policy so that healthy is the easy choice or healthy is the only choice.
So let me take a neighborhood.
Okay.
Let's try Chesapeake, and you pick out one of the neighborhoods in Chesapeake that you've worked with.
Okay, so South Norfolk.
Okay.
That's one of our target areas that we're looking at. And so what we would do there, and so what we have done is partner with the YMCA there. We partner with Healthy Chesapeake there. And we're looking at trying to partner with some other local what we call food vendors. And so those aren't going to be your huge Walmart, your Food Line. Those are going to be more the neighborhood. So those are going to be like Dollar Tree, Family Dollar, whoever's corner store, whatever the name may be. And so trying to figure out how we can offer healthy items there. How can we incentivize these store owners to offer healthy options? How can we put in recipe options? How can we make that look attractive? How can we go in and do cooking demos? How can we work with the food bank and other SNAP to offer healthier meals? And so really that's where we start to look. We say, okay, if food is the issue that is the issue of that, like food related, preventable problems, then we want to go to the source. We don't want to go in and just say, we're going to cook a healthy meal for today. No. We want to go from the top up. So we want to check where you're purchasing your food is where we want to make the change, because that will be something that's sustainable.
Yes.
So that's what we're looking at. And so if you just pick that neighborhood, for example, but we're looking to do that in all neighborhoods. Our focus areas this year in particular are going to be Portsmouth, Norfolk, and Newport News. But we are doing stuff in all areas, all the 7 cities. But we really saw we can have the biggest impact in Newport News, Norfolk, and Portsmouth. The statistics were alarming.
Yes, okay. So Newport News and of course Norfolk is really interesting because a lot of people in Norfolk are school kids and different parents and parent associations down there. So now we're looking at a way of connecting health providers with you at the same time?
So we already work with a lot of our larger hospital systems here, but where we would love to have a better connection is going to be some of those smaller clinics, and maybe like free clinics or what we call federally qualified health centers.
Okay.
So we want to be working with those individuals as well to provide some resources. So we have a ton of resources around nutrition, diet, exercise, blood pressure. So one thing that's huge, and I don't know if Terry remembers the stat that she had, but how many airplanes could we fill, or was it carriers? I don't remember if you remember. But people with
how
high
many
blood
people
pressure.
die?
Yes, was that what it was?
I think it's 2. Well,
2 for airplane carriers.
yeah. Oh, aircraft carriers.
Yeah, aircraft carriers.
Oh, God.
We forgot, but we probably forgot it. So
I think it's 8.
8. We could fill 8
Air
Force carriers or whatever you want to call
carriers.
them with the amount of people that have
Yes.
hypertension in Hampton Roads.
Yes.
Wow.
And so if you know anything, we probably all have seen them, so we all know something about aircraft carriers. That's probably what 5,000 people probably in each one of those. And so
yes,
it's a huge problem, but it's 80% is preventable. And so I'm forgetting what I'm talking about, but the providers.
Yes.
And so we know that people are going to the large hospitals as well, but a lot of times people are going to some of the smaller clinics. And so we want them to have the same resources that they could get at a Centera, or they could get at a Bon Secours, or they can get at some of the larger institutions. And so we're really invested right now in working with a lot of the smaller clinics. And so I want them to reach out to me. I've been reaching out to them, but we want to be a resource and provide our programs at these places as well, because a lot of them are very community focused, and people feel very comfortable going to
their local community.
Yes, and also people that look like them.
Right.
And so maybe it's a cultural thing, or they just feel comfortable going somewhere that's in their community versus going to some of the larger places.
So Terry, I wanted to ask you a question around holistic health, meaning stores that deal with herbs and different other kinds of supplements, health supplements. Have you reached out to them about being involved with the American Heart Association?
Well, there hasn't been a whole lot of science around herbs and things like that, because the American Heart Association is a science-based organization. And so everything that we do and everything that we put out is based in research and in science. And so there hasn't been a whole lot around herbal remedies and things like that that we could recommend to people. What we do recommend is that people go see their primary care provider at least once a year so that they know their numbers. And that is very important for people to know. So they know that they have high cholesterol. They know if they have high blood pressure, because those are things that you can't feel. And those are things that put people at very high risk for cardiac disease and stroke. And so if you go to that provider and you get those numbers, and you see if you are diabetic, and you prevent those things through diet, through exercise, you can down the road live a long, healthy life. But we really encourage going to that primary care provider and knowing those numbers and getting in there quickly. And I say to people, go around your birthday, because in that way it'll remind you, oh, it's time for me to go. So that's what we always tell people, go at least once a year.
All right. So now I'm interested in this new project you guys are about to come up with. So McShay, we'll call her McSharon. We're going to ask her again. Miss Hill. I'm going to say Miss Hill.
Michelle.
I'm going to get Michelle together.
Like
but
Michelle Marbell.
There you go.
You know that song?
I do know that song. So Michelle, talk to us about HBCUs.
Yes, so we have a wonderful program that we just opened up the application for. It's called the Hbcu Accelerator, and we're really excited. So we are inviting talented, civic-minded students and faculty that are interested in solving community health problems, right? Who have evaluated the community and said, this is something I feel that could help my community, right? We are looking at HBCUs only with what we call our Mid-Atlantic affiliate. And so in that area, that would include Norfolk State University,
Okay.
Hampton University, and Elizabeth City State University. And so those are the schools that we're really focused on in the Hampton Roads area. And so from that, we're going to select 5 schools that are going to go and attend a conference in Charlotte where they will present their plan for the community. So each one of them will have an opportunity to present, and then we'll pick a winner from out of that group. And so what we are asking is that students go and apply online, and then each school within the area, we're actually going to only be able to pick one winner from each school. And those are the ones that will be submitted. And so the winner from the whole event will receive, it's $100,000 grant.
Right.
And so it's $50,000 each year. And that money is to be implemented into their community program that they chose that they want to implement. We're really excited about it. We just opened it up. We know we're going to get some students from Norfolk State.
Right.
We hope that you're listening now and that you want to contact us. The website that you can go to is www.empoweredtoserve.org. And I'm going to spell this out. And it's /MAAHBCU. I'm going to say it again.
Right.
It's www.empowered, that's EMPOWERED, to serve, SERVE.org, and it's /MAAHBCU.
Now, we'll give that again
Yes.
later on in the program, but I really want Norfolk State, Hampton, and of course Elizabeth City, to the people who know those. Now, can alumni get some of those people to move on this?
Of course.
I mean, because alumni would hear this maybe far faster than one of the students may hear.
We would love, and so what this is that we're wanting students to partner up. So we want teams. We don't want individuals applying. We really want you to work with your faculty. We want students to work with alumni, work with people that know the community. We want you to work with community partners to really come up with a plan. So these are multidisciplinary teams. So we want students to group up. We do not want one person that hasn't consulted the community or hasn't really talked to some other people. So yes, please, alumni, we definitely want them to put they know the area as well. They've attended, school here or wherever it may be, and they know the community. So we really want you to assess your community, have a conversation about what are the priorities and what do you think is the solution, or what is one way that you can help with some of these social determinants of health or health issues within the community. And when we talk about community surrounding HBCUs, there are a plethora of issues that you can help to solve. Yep.
So is there a way to partner this up with other organizations within the community? In other words, it might be a nonprofit organization that's in the community that could work with a student group or work with a alumni of a student, or an alumni might be a part of a nonprofit group. Is that a possibility in terms of putting together a project?
Yes, you can work with they can work with anyone they like to in terms of community partners. We just need to have students here at the HBCU, and they can work with any outside partners they want to, but they also need to consult their faculty. One faculty member at their university needs to be involved as well.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So now
is it like an advisor?
Right.
Yeah.
So that means if you had a health-related situation in your school, you might involve the health person into that.
And we are also, when I say we're looking at solving health-related issues in the community, I also mean on your campus.
Right.
Sometimes, if you've got 5,000 to 6,000 students, or I don't know the population at every school, but that is, if you can help to solve some problems right here on your campus, that is something to be submitted as well. So we're looking at the outside community, the Hampton Roads community as a whole, but then also internally right here on your campus. What issues are you seeing?
Well, one
Yes.
of the issues is probably young people with hypertension and diabetes.
It's huge.
That may be
It's
a
huge.
huge situation where both a nonprofit organization that does some kind of health screening
Yes.
can work with some of the people on the campus to
Yes.
screen everybody on campus and make sure that they're getting the right nutrition, number
That's
one. And I'm
right.
sure that that's a major issue for college students getting
Yes.
the right nutrition.
Yes,
I
and
mean,
also thinking, you think as a young person. I know when I was younger, you don't think about things like that. You're
Right.
like, I don't have high blood pressure. I'm thin, or I
Right.
exercise or whatever. Sometimes it's hereditary.
Right.
Sometimes in African American community, and specifically, we are very sodium sensitive,
Right.
and so it could be your diet, it could be what you're eating, and so you have to know your numbers. And so it is actually when Terry and I just saw a statistic a few months back, but it said it was over 80%. I want to say it was close to 90% of African Americans have hypertension.
Yes.
That is the fact. We did an event that was not far from here at the Murray Center. It was our Power to End Stroke Jazz Brunch, and we did health screenings. It was close to 300 people, and out of that 300 people, 90% of the attendees were hypertensive. Their blood pressure was high. 90% of the 300 African American people that were there, mostly a multicultural audience. And so that just shows you this is huge.
It's
this
an
is a
epidemic.
problem. It is an epidemic.
It's an epidemic.
And it is killing our community because it's called the silent killer because you don't feel anything. But it starts to do damage on your organs. You'll start to have kidney problems when you get older. You'll start to have heart disease. You'll start to have problems with your lung. I mean, but you don't feel it when you're young. So you can
But
be
it
walking
starts when
around.
you're young.
But it starts when you're young.
It starts when you're young. It starts eating away on your insides when you're young. And if you catch it early, then you can prevent these things down the road. But if you don't know that you have it, then you can't prevent it.
You're listening to the Nonprofit Exchange. I'm C. Richard Gilchrist, and this has been an outstanding show because it is giving you an opportunity to understand that the American Heart Association and stroke situation is helping our community learn more ways to stop this disease from hindering our community. And it's not just doing with older people, it's now gotten down to the younger people. If you drink 5 sodas a day,
Yes.
you are subject to heart problems.
Yes.
If you drink 5 sodas a week, you're
Yes.
doing that. So I think that what the problem is that we are not understanding all of the things that it takes that is actually bothering our bodies and breaking us down.
Yes.
Even though we know that we want to eat pizza, we want to drink beer, we want to do all these things, and then later on figure out why we have hypertension. So
Right.
I think that our 2 guests here, we're going to go back through at least 2 other things before we move ahead. One, how do people get involved with this new HBCU program?
So they can go to our website. That's the first one. They want to go on our website and read up on the qualifications and then look at the application. And I always suggest that you read through. And sometimes, grants are awarded just by people just following instructions.
Okay.
And so we want people to go online, read the description, and make sure that their plan falls into what our requests are.
Now, when you say go on your website, you mean the Heart Association?
So it's a part of it's a website that's affiliated with our website, but
Okay.
it has its own. So it's not heart.org. It's an actual. You can go on heart.org and probably find it.
Okay.
But I'm going to give you the exact website that you can type in on your URL, and it'll take you to the application. That is www.empowered. That's EMPOWERED 2TO serve SERVE.org, and then it's /MAA HBCU, and this is our Hbcu Accelerator grant. This is open to HBCU students only. Let me say that again. HBCU students that are at historically black colleges and universities who are interested in solving community health issues, particularly looking at social determinants of health, those things that are out of our control sometimes that affect the health of the community. Things that we can work on. For example, poverty, education, transportation, barriers to access, so many other things. And so we give you examples. If you go online and go to this website, we give you about 10 to 15 examples of things that are issues in some of our neighborhoods.
So now, is there a deadline?
There is a deadline, and so we would like to receive all of these applications by February 8th.
February 8th. So now I'm going to play this show over and over again just so that everybody gets this on by February 8th and get this in. I'm going to actually post
But it's
it up
open
on,
now, so you can start as early as
start
now.
now, but I'm gonna actually put it up on my YouTube page, and I'm gonna put it up on my Facebook page. So between Facebook, YouTube, and here at Norfolk State University, you all need to deal with this particular one. I think it would be a great internship for some students, but it also would help some students be in connection with the community, because you can't do it by yourself. It has to be done in cooperation with the community. So I think this is an excellent opportunity, and if there's any other questions, let's get a phone number for Michelle. I got it this time.
You got
Michelle.
it.
Come on, Michelle, give us that number.
Yes, you can call our office, and it's 757-628-2610. Again, it's 757-628-2610. You can ask for me. If I'm not there, leave a message for me. And if you have any questions about the Hbcu Accelerator, if you have questions about volunteering for some of the other events that we have and programs that we're doing in the community, or you just have a question or you want to look at internship opportunities, please give us a call. We have a way for you to be involved.
You can also check us out on all social media platforms.
All right,
So we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, and we're on Facebook. Just do a search for us, Hampton Roads AHA, and we're right there. So make sure to like our posts and to follow us. And we have information about the Accelerator grant on there as well, so you can get directed right to that link so that you can apply. I just wanted to make note that there is a $7,500 stipend for the students. So yes, you get the $100,000 grant over 2 years, but if you are a student involved in this, you also get individual money to be able to put towards your work on this grant.
You know, I'm so glad you brought that up, because I read that and said, I wanted to make sure you got that one explained. In other words, students who apply to this can get up to $7,500 per year or per week?
It's annual. It says annual. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that means you could get in this project and have money coming in as a part of you working on this project.
Yes.
So I think this would be excellent for students, both seniors to down to freshmen. You need some money to keep on surviving on these college campuses, so take this opportunity to do that. Now, Terry, is there videos available for people to look at about the Heart Association?
Yes.
Tell us where we can find those at.
If you go to heart.org, you can just plug in videos in the search box at the top, and you can see all of our videos there. There is a particular video that is very similar to what they're looking for in this project called Take Me Home.
Okay.
So if you go to heart.org and plug in Take Me Home video, you can see what that's about, and it talks about community impact. It's very similar to what they're looking for in this particular project. And a part of this application, they're asking for a video. So not only do you fill out the application, but you have to create a video.
Okay.
As a part of the application.
Oh, as a part of the application?
Yes.
Okay, that's excellent.
Yeah.
So now most all college campuses have some kind of video or
Right. And you can even use your cell
use your
phone.
cell
We're
phone.
not
Right.
being particular. We know that we're dealing with college kids, so we don't expect you to have this professional setup,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
you can do it with your camera phone. You can do
But
it
we're
with
looking
your
for passion. We're
Yes.
looking for passion.
Yes.
We're looking for people that want to make a real difference in their community, people that are coming up with creative, new ideas that are really going to make a sustainable change in this region, that are going to save lives. That's really what we're looking for.
So before we close out this day, I want to have Terry tell me one more time, what are the symptoms of a stroke and a heart attack?
The symptoms of a heart attack are, and I can tell you from my personal experience, I had chest pain, severe chest pain. I had arm pain, nausea, sweating, and dizziness. For women, it can be different. It can be nausea, it can be back pain, it can be jaw pain, it can be neck pain. And they don't always think that that's a heart attack. So, we want women to pay attention to those signs and symptoms and to know that that could be a heart attack. For a stroke, it could be blurred vision, it could be arm numbness, slurred speech, and face drooping. So those are all of the things that are involved with a stroke.
Michelle, any last words?
We just want, when Terry talks about that, one thing I want people to remember as well is if you just don't feel good, you know your body, right? You know when something is off, and you should not be ashamed of going to the doctor. You should not be ashamed to go to emergency or tell someone I don't feel good. And time is of the essence. And so we just want everybody, to know your body. If you don't have those symptoms, but you have something else going on that's out of whack for your body, to go be seen.
If you want to get in touch with Michelle, her number is?
It's 757-628-2610.
You've been listening to the Nonprofit Exchange. Please, and I say please, for 2019, take care of your health